Hello there my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. So today we have lots to talk about. We've got some more information for the upcoming game Fate of the Old Republic, but first, we're going to be talking about Andor Season 2, and an unexpected update after the fact that is certainly going to change the way you see Season 2. Even if you love it, like myself, you're going to appreciate it even more, especially one character, Luthen. What really seems to be a unanimous opinion amongst Andor fans is how incredible Stellan Skarsgård's performance was. In Season 1 we got his incredible monologue about sacrifice, and in Season 2, his storyline builds towards a tragic end, fulfilling his promise to burn his life for the rebellion's future. And between himself, Loni, and Clea, we got to witness how fundamental the Axis cell really was to the rebels eventually winning on Yavin. I've said this a million times and I'll say it again, Andor is a masterpiece. But did you know, in real life, Stellan Skarsgård was going through a very tough time. And interestingly enough, before we talk about what happened, I discovered a thread from 7 months ago, so when Andor Season 2 was airing, where someone pointed out Luthen's presence in Season 2 is a bit more reserved. And the in-universe interpretation of this back then was that Tony Gilroy was trying to convey that Luthen and his methods were becoming less and less needed as the rebellion grew. So much happened in these 5 years. In the first season, there was no rebel alliance yet. Rebel cells and factions were still very fragmented, and so that's why Luthen was more hands-on. Now here's the thing, I thought Luthen was brilliant in Season 2. I do understand this point, but he was still very much the puppet master in the shadows. He was still running a spy network, and was fundamental when it came to the information about Galen Erso, Jeddah, and Project Stardust. But it turns out, the role he played in Season 2 was originally a bit different, and one of the reasons Tony Gilroy had to make a few adjustments is that between Seasons 1 and 2, unfortunately, and this is very sad, Stellan Skarsgård suffered a stroke, and he revealed this for the very first time a couple of months ago. But now he's opened up about it in a bit more depth, in a brand new conversation with his son, one of his sons, Alexander Skarsgård, and this was for Variety's Actors on Actors. And Stellan says, for Season 2, he had to wear an earpiece that fed him his lines. He goes on to say this, "To me, rhythm is very important. The guy talking in my ear must not interrupt my rhythm, so I have to hear the other person saying my cue, and over that, he has to say the line very fast and very clear without emotion, and then I can answer in the right rhythm and give him my rhythm." So it was very complicated. Now honestly, I take my hat off to him. Having had a very close family member suffer from a stroke, it's terrifying and life-altering. And so it's insane to me that Stellan was able to give such an amazing performance in spite of having just recovered from one. And he does say it was a very scary experience, but quote, "After I recovered, I would have done another season because I wasn't bored with it." And that means a lot coming from him. Stellan has made his feelings about TV shows very clear. And during the press tour for Season 1, I remember him saying he wouldn't have done more than 2 seasons. So for him now to go back on his word and say for Tony Gilroy, for Andor I would have made an exception, that says something about the quality of this series. And I'm just amazed, based on his age, based on what he went through, that not only did he come back for Season 2 and give a decent performance, he gave the performance of a lifetime. This is a man I seriously respect. I have a newfound appreciation for Luthen in Andor Season 2. And not just Andor, by the way, my friends, but Dune Part 2. He says this, "I made Season 2 of Andor, and I made the second part of Dune after the stroke. I was in hospital, and I called Tony Gilroy and Denis Villeneuve, and I say, well look, this is the case, I don't know what's going to happen, but they were both very supportive, and I said, I know I can fix this, let's do it." A truly remarkable man of perseverance. His attitude and strength are nothing short of commendable, and even though the character is dead, I will sing Luthen's praises as long as I'm a Star Wars fan. But moving on my friends, we've got a bit of an update for the newly announced Fate of the Old Republic video game. A couple of nights ago were the Game Awards, and I covered, in my last video, the 2 big Star Wars announcements that came from it, and I also broke down the teaser trailers for both. Fate of the Old Republic is our first presumed canon Old Republic installment, and the fan reaction to this trailer has been pretty unanimous. Most fans said this is great and everything, but is it ever actually going to come out? How many times have we had a situation like this, where they release a trailer, a very impressive trailer mind you, no gameplay footage though, and they never follow up on it? How many times have Star Wars gamers been burnt in the past? And of all of the announced, so-called confirmed, upcoming Star Wars games, only 1 or 2 of them have a definite release date. Galactic Racer, the other game announced the other night, does have a release window of 2026, but Fate of the Old Republic is a huge question mark. And instantly, Star Wars fans started roasting the game on social media, saying why does Lucasfilm announce these things so far out? And to make matters worse, and yes, they do get a bit worse, a gaming insider chimed in and said this: last night's biggest surprise was Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic. Exciting news for lots of people, but Lucasfilm says the studio was founded this year, which means that 2030 is an optimistic guess. Maybe it'll be a PlayStation 7 game. Ooh, ouch. Lucasfilm games, take note. We've seen the patterns, over-promising and then under-delivering, problems with studios, gaming delays, which do happen, but don't get fans' hopes up. Don't promise games 5, 6, 7, even 10 years out. But, and here's where the twist comes in, the director, Casey Hudson, saw this and tried to ease fans' worries by saying this: don't worry about the not till 2030 rumors. Game will be out before then. I'm not getting any younger. And then I went through his other posts and he does say he's going to keep us updated. So hopefully more updates in the next couple of years. I'm rooting for him, rooting for his studio. It's a huge task. It really is. But so far, and I get it was a cinematic trailer, not a gameplay trailer, I'm impressed. But it was pretty funny in real time to see fans go from, oh my gosh, this is amazing, so exciting. Did we just see the Leviathan? Are we going to get Revan and Malak? To 10 seconds later being like, wait a minute, Lucasfilm's doing this again. We know their tactics. They're baiting us. This game is never going to be made. And you might call that pessimism, but that's been their track record. Can you really blame Star Wars gamers for being really apprehensive about this? But what do you guys think? 2 very different topics for today's news, but that's all we have, and I do like to cover things as they drop. So I hope you had fun, hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.